Sifa Zote Zende Kwa Mumba. All praise is due the Creator. Greetings, I'm Baba Brother D, B.A. Nubian. I'm part of a collective that follows a viewpoint that we call scientific African nationalism, the systematic acquisition and application of knowledge and skills for the best interest of African people. Some of you may have seen me before. 5 years ago, a couple of videos were produced. I have to give thanks to my brother Reggie, some people know as Dr. Reggie, Brother Reggie Mabry, who was the individual who produced those two videos. And for reasons that I'll explain at another time, I pulled away from making these YouTube videos. But shout out to Mama Naima, shout out to Brother Rev, and a number of other people. I've been pushed to resume making educational videos to go on YouTube. So I want to touch on a topic today that I want to go into a topic today that I touched on in a couple of those videos from 5 years ago. I want to talk about rights. Now, I'm part of a movement that makes a big deal out of human rights. We talk a lot about human rights. We often bring up Malcolm's name because Malcolm taught about raising the struggle from the level of civil rights to a level of human rights. And then here you get somebody like Brother D who says he ain't even about rights. So what you talking about, Brother D? How you not gonna be about rights? So let me explain a few things. I want folks to learn the difference between tools and principles. See, a principle, when you have something as a principle, it is something foundational. It is some ideas that you stand on. This is what you are about. A tool is something that you use when you need it. You're not necessarily about use. Like, for instance, I'm not about a screwdriver or a wrench. When I need a screwdriver or a wrench, I use a screwdriver or a wrench. If I ain't got a screwdriver and I need to get something done, I'll use another tool that may serve the same purpose. I'm not about a car. I'm not about a bicycle. When I need to use a car, I use a car. When I want to use a bike, I use a bike. But if there ain't no bike to use, I'll use something else. Because foundationally, I'm not about the bike, I'm not about the car, I'm not about the pen, I'm not about the pencil, I'm not about the screwdriver, all right? I got certain things that I want to do, and at the time, if those things are available to me, I'll use them, and when they're not available to me, I'll use something else, because it is not what I'm about. Now, the notion of rights is a similar thing. I'm not about rights. I'm not about entitlements. They are tools. Many of us have gotten so into a notion of being entitled to something that just the very idea that you are entitled to it makes you want to have to go after it. You don't even think of it as a tool, you think of it as a principle. So let's look closely into, well, what are rights? Rights are options that a person has as part of the rules of a particular structure or a particular arrangement. Whether you're talking about a government or whether you're talking about playing a board game. We could be playing checkers. If we're playing checkers, we may recognize that you are entitled to move your piece backwards once you have gotten that piece to the 8th row. So you're entitled to now move backwards. means you can choose to do that according to the rules of that game. Somebody may say that the first 100 people to arrive at this event are entitled to some free object, right? That's what they established. They made the statement, you one of the first 100, you get a free hat, or you get a free scarf, or whatever. Okay, you know that some of our people will make major sacrifices around the idea of being denied what we are entitled to without ever even asking the question, do I actually need or want the thing that they're giving away? Because we've been taught to believe in fighting for our rights. And as we think about fighting for our rights, not recognizing that rights ain't nothing but rules according to a particular establishment, and the same people who have established themselves to be able to enforce those rules, they also get to change those rules when they get ready. They get to ignore those rules whenever they see fit. And you're running behind an idea that you've made into a principle, and it ain't nothing but a tool. Many people within the Black nationalist movement have made a big deal out of the right to self-determination. And when I say self-determination, I'm saying it in the way that we used to say it, not talking about individuals, talking about groups, talking about nations, people having the ability to control our own circumstances. That's the right to self-determination, a political concept. Nations should be able to determine their own destiny. Well, I want to make it clear, y'all, I'm not fighting for African people's right to self-determination. I'm fighting for African people's self-determination. Not the option that we could choose to be self-determining. No, I'm fighting to be us, for us to be self-determined. Yes, Malcolm talked about human rights, but I don't represent the same viewpoint on this particular question. And I put it to people in one of the organizations that I'm a part of that holds human rights as a principle of unity. I asked this question. I want people to understand. In a certain sense, I want to model a behavior that you can work with other folks and you don't have to necessarily agree with everything that the other folks agree with. And a good portion of the people that I work with in different organizations follow ideas that I don't agree with, and I feel that it's a responsibility to challenge certain ideas. And one of the organizations that I work closely with makes a major principle out of the notion of human rights. So I posed the following scenario to them, for which I made reference to our great ancestor, Harriet Tubman. Now, we were taught that Harriet told people that if you try to turn around, if you try to go back, she's gonna take you out. Were we taught that? Now I wanna ask, we don't know, I don't know specifically, and I've never read whether Harriet Tubman ever had to fulfill that promise or not. But let's say that she did. Let's say that some brother got scared and tried to go back. And Harriet Tubman took him out. Would she have been guilty of violating his human rights? And when I pose it like that, all of us know that we would have been like, the hell with human rights, you gonna get us killed. We gotta take you out. So then you now can understand that a notion of human rights is only a tool, time to use it, and that would not have been a time to use it. Because tools, you use them when they are useful. So I'm clear, the black movement is not about rights. The black movement is for us to control our own circumstances. It is not about civil rights. It is not about human rights. It is not about democratic rights. It's not about inalienable rights, and inalienable rights endowed by our Creator. That was just some rhetoric. Do you understand? That was some rhetoric that these people put forward in helping to galvanize support for their political agenda that they clearly could not have believed, and here you go believing it. They put that stuff out in order to do what they wanted to do, and now you want to live by it. It was BS then, it's some straight up BS now. Rights don't exist outside of structures that enforce those rules. So I don't want us making decisions based on some blanket idea, well, we have the right. Because if we need it, whether there's a structure that says we got the right to it or not, we need to get it. So this is just one of a set of ideas that I don't go along with. Won't stop me from working with you, but we need to talk about these things. And I'm doing so as part of a project referred to as the New Ashe, the New African Social Health Effort. And under this effort, I intend to talk about a variety of different topics towards the end of getting enough of your attention and getting enough of your interest that you could join along with a growing number of people, as I am adding my voice to a growing number of people who understand the need to come together with small groups of other sisters and brothers who are reasonably on the same page with you, because there are some things that we can do in small groups towards our development of skills and propensities, which will contribute to being able to organize the larger African nation. I want to thank you for